Okay. I just had to redo my little ball there and it's so annoying and irrelevant-ish, other than just to say, like, fuck, life is just a lot, which is my thing there. You can't see it, but it's a picture of my kiddo holding a sign. The original picture is actually, like, I wrote it on her little whiteboard, and she was on the potty, and I'm like, oh my god, that's just a funny idea, and it was just shit happens, but my whole, professional idea is like, okay, yes, in life shit happens, now what? And that's kind of, come to me and I can help you figure that out. We can figure it out together. But it's just and this even was I haven't been recording, and I never, well, not never, I haven't actively like had imposter syndrome or and haven't looked into it, but I hear about it a lot. But although maybe I should look into it. Maybe I do actually deal with that, but that's just kind of the trickiness of my situation. First of all, this is just like the PTB, which is, I was guided to, like, okay, record this, and this is, tied together, which is, how it always works, but, because I just, like, wrote something to AI, and just writing okay, here's a little background on what's been going on, and I'll scroll up on this and share that. Okay, that's one piece of the puzzle, but it's not that I am uncomfortable sharing, or I'm going to try to keep this as linear and connected as possible, but I don't generally worry about that, because this is my flow, this is my authentic process, and I know with 100% certainty, this is why I'm like, do I have imposter syndrome? Because I'm so confident and self-confident and I know 100%, and I've been told for a very long time that I need to share my story, my experience, what I'm here to do. And a lot of people in the sort of spiritually, which I fit into that group, like card readers and other channelers and whatnot, that is the space that I'm pretty sure I am meant to be in, but I'm not a, like, fully developed psychic, although I am a 24/7 conscious channeler, and I've had the training part of my background is extensive. I just turned 55, and Kuan Yin came into my life, our life, my family, when I was 12, and my mom started channeling, and this is just like, this is what conscious channeling 24/7 is that last night I was watching a show the next fashion star or whatever. And like there's a lot of talk about synchronicity and da 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 da, and for me it's like when that started becoming like more and more in the mainstream zeitgeist, there's so much I have to say, and that's part of it too. It's just like, where do I even begin? And the PTB, which is Kuan Yin, Big Mike, who's an angel, but Kuan Yin's been my guide, my snarky Sifu, for 43 years. So that's, I have a serious history, with some quote quote heavy hitters. And this is the thing. So last night on that show, the challenge was, it was inspired by royalty. And they're like, well, there's a lot of interpretation. There's like, royalty, there's, rock royalty, there's da 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 da. And somebody, it was like gods and goddesses, as a version of, royalty. Basically, if to apply that to my situation, and I'm gonna just like start saying from the beginning without saying it every time, because it's exhausting, but like my ego is in a really solid spot, both to help other people and but the thing is that's where the imposter syndrome. I'm very confident. I'm very self-confident. I am so confident in who I am, everything, but I'm also incredibly humble and so easy to talk to and open and non-judgmental and da 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 da, that I have, and only recently, met resistance in people don't believe that it's possible. Like, no, there's no way that you could be real. And which I get, I understand it, and that's why we're this like, I'm in this little unique perspective bubble, that I can see not only both sides, but the third side and the 53rd side and the da 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 da. So, but for me, it's exhausting to try to explain that, like, I used to say, before my sort of this purpose path, etc., became, more and more and more narrow, clear, and, before anyone was talking about ego beyond, psychological, and at that point, like, people would say, oh, her ego, his ego, my ego, whatever, and I'm like, well, ego technically is, there's the id, the ego, the super ego, and then it's similar to like narcissism. It's like, oh my god, people stop talking about narcissism because, like, you don't know, you don't have the education to be diagnosing your whoever just pissed you off, and you're calling them a narcissist. And gaslighting is a more reasonable, like, misuse of, terms that are really reserved for a small amount of the population. But anyway, I used to say, like, oh, like I have a really big ego, but I'm like super nice and da da da. And, because I'm not like, I can totally be cocky and whatever, but it's rooted in love, and like my heart is huge and open and welcoming, and all of the things. I love information. I'm so curious, and I've always been, from as long as I can remember. And I don't use my gifts, my whatever, my blessings, to put myself above other people. And that's been an interesting lesson for me. But so in this manifestation of, my work, my whatever, and trying to find you guys, trying to like whoop, like if you build it, that's one of the like mantras from the PTB. They're like, just do it, just fucking record it, just put it up there, and the audience, you guys will we will find each other, because that's the thing. It's a magnetic co-creative process when everybody's in alignment, where you just boop happen to click on this with the fucking weird, ugly, whatever thumbnail. Because if I wait and I then try to edit and make it look nice, and it just I have such a backlog of recordings, it's crazy, and it's expensive. And I'm just trying to sort of find the balance of okay, just do it. And it really is, it's like trusting in the process. Like just now, I was just doing this. Oopsie, please tell me I didn't just redo that. But if I did, see, that would have been okay, that's part of the process, and whatever that is what is more appropriate than what was just there. That's another thing I joke, oh, the PTB possessed my technology, because I have assistance from spirit, as we all do, and that's the key takeaways. And just like Jesus said in the Bible, not only can you do everything that I can do, but way more. So then the interesting thing is that you get all the Christians who are yeah, the Bible is the fucking word of God and da da da. And yet when people don't fit, Leviticus, well, you're queer, you're going to hell, but God loves you and I love you because I'm a Christian. That's what I'm here to say is okay, enough with the bullshit. And if that is if you're a Christian and you just heard me, talk about God and Jesus and fuck and gay and whatever in the same sentence, and you are appalled and think I'm a blasphemous, Kuan Yin worshipping heretic, then okay, you have your right to have those feelings, and you may be pulled here whenever this is your present moment, for a reason that you might not be aware of. And my suggestion to you is, okay, you're gonna have your instant reaction based on your upbringing, and if we want to just leave it there and not talk about your past lives and the work you're here to do and grow and whatever, after you have that visceral bad fear reaction, stick around and you'll see that I am a fucking Christian. like through and through and through. I've only started talking about God with a big G, publicly in these recordings and stuff kind of recently because, well, for a number of reasons, but I'm basically the same person I was as a kid, but with just so much more experience and perspective. But right now, to get back to the performance anxiety, the fakey syndrome. I can't hold on to the word right now, but is because this test is like I know exactly what's going on, but right now I'm homeless. I'm living in my car. I am seeing how difficult it is for someone on disability, with every, golden ticket to be in subsidized housing, have to wait years to find it for a number of reasons. And the system is broken. And, God and I, we had an idea before I came into this body, and it was like, the system's broken. I'm like, put me in, coach, I can help. So that's my issue, is like, okay, what am I here to do, really? And I don't fit into a box, it's not just spiritual. It's not just this. I'm here with Joseph's magic dream coat pockets full of tools and helpers and contacts in spirit to show you, to be an example of what is possible, that Jesus in the Bible, and then fast forward to everything everyone's talking about, manifestation and all of that, and it's all real, but most people that I encounter don't know what they're talking about. They do, and that's the thing. It's like everybody is only where they're at on their journey, and people are getting frustrated with like, well, I'm doing all the stuff that my spiritual life coach told me to do, and nothing is happening. That's like me looking at myself saying, well, I work for the PTB. I'm like, I've been doing this. I've been training for this position for, all of my life, essentially. But I still don't have a paycheck from it. But that's my fault because the mix of the money and the work for me has always been kind of like, suspect, but it's just that I haven't asked for money. I do it from my heart because I can't not do it. Even if I try to not do it, this is who I am. It's my DNA. I am here for a reason. And it's a big picture. It's a fuzzy, it's open-ended. Time is only this present moment, so it really can be anything as big and as amazing and world changing, paradigm shifting as I can imagine, because if I imagine even small, like when I was living on Kauai, which is after I took my, first official leap of faith, which is Kuan Yin told me when I was a teenager that I would be going to Hawaii, I would know when, and I would know why, and that was it. that was the briefing, and I was like, okay, but she's never been wrong, so, I was like, okay, I don't understand what the fuck that means, and, but it happened, and I did know when, and Hawaii is a series of islands. It's, so, for me, I was like, okay, I'm thinking, okay, it's probably Maui, because that was the one that, based on vacations and whatnot, but no, it was Kauai, which I'd never even heard of. And, yeah. That's when the story gets, there's a clear chapter. That's a memoir. Like, okay, you're supposed to write about one thing in your life. And that's where I have difficulty, is there's so many things and so many huge, like, I have several, like blockbuster movies, things, like when I got run over and died and, was told, like, okay, you want to go in for this mission because you don't have to, like, you're dead right this moment, and, put me in, coach. That is a dramatic experience. People say, I feel like I've been run over by a truck. Well, I actually have, and, so that's what I'm saying, is I have a very curious life. So narrowing it down but that's been sort of both my training and my, okay, and it's the complexity of all of this is crazy, but it's also really simple and really clear, and I just need to do it and keep it simple, but I had to go through some things. I had to make some shifts in my life. I was married, and that was an experience. That was a big chapter, and I now have a 13-year-old daughter, and right now I'm just like, imposter syndrome, thank you. Like, well, how can I tell anybody, how to help themselves, considering my circumstances? Like, would you pay attention to a teacher who is living in a car? All kinds of other things, which is another, like, one working title that I had back when I was 33, when I was having my, like, most textbook enlightenment awakening, and humor is major in my life. I think I'm pretty funny, and I am funny, and most people, like, they definitely laugh at me, with me, but my working title was, am I enlightened or just crazy? And it was like the idea of, on paper, which these things come back around and make more sense, and the layers of meaning, like lotus petals or onion skin, or not skin, I don't know, the layers of an onion, but they just continue, you know, either to get more clear or more expansive or whatever. But the idea of on paper, like, would you think that the most incredible hidden gem of a teacher is the tattooed lady, you know, in her car, you know, with her cat, and, you know, who looks like me? I don't look all hippy dippy, but I am, you know, like, I'm a Christian through and through and through and through, but I'm also a Buddhist and you know, but I'm not just any of these things. For the very wonderful, blessed, and perfectly planned and executed setup so that I can talk to anybody. You know, I lived in you know, my childhood home for, you know, most of my life. I like to check in and see, you know, what people have done with it. And, you know, it's like right now, like $5 or $7 million for, you know, our little house in South Laguna. I've walked in a lot of circles. That's all I'm saying, you know. And that's why I don't have imposter syndrome, and I'm not an imposter. I could easily be a cult leader, and I'm down to give it a try. But that was also my, like, oh, wait a minute, like, I don't want to be so sure of myself that I'm blinded to, like, oh, you know, like, I often say, like, oh, it's a good thing I use my powers for good and, you know, not evil, because I could easily be a fucking amazing cult leader, but that's why I'm not. That's why I'm the homeless lady making $900 a month from getting run over because I choose not to sue people. And I choose not to take money in ways that are not in alignment with me. And that includes making sure and then resure and resure and resure that as I do this, it is done. And I check in with myself all the time. Like, if I learn a lesson, then if I backslide at all, it's like, whoa, hold on. You know, okay, why did you say that? Like, if I'm feeling like, oh, I'm get pissed or something, I look at myself and it's like, what is that? And that's how I have come to where I am, is like, I notice things. I'm very observant, and like, I didn't understand the physiological component, because I'm a big brainiac. My mind is everything, and my body was always kind of like, yeah, whatever. My body holds my brain and my soul, you know. But then it got run over and became a piece of this puzzle of life that, whoa, I wasn't expected. I didn't think that one day I would be, you know, easily able to, you know, bike 10 miles and run up, you know, 3-story walk up with my bike on my arm, boop, 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 and like go out and party all night and get up the next day and, oh, wait a minute, that one night I went out to party all night and didn't get up to work the next day because I had been run over and died, and then decided to come back into a body and say, I can wiggle my fingers, I can wiggle my toes. And this is just like who I am. I was a caterer at the time, and told the nurse, I was like, you need to call my boss, because it's this lady's wedding day. And yeah, that's who I am. Like, I am a hard worker, but I'm so not the typical hard worker, you know. People can look at me and think I do nothing. A lot is going on mentally, a lot of work, which takes great energy. I don't think anyone would, you know, look at Einstein if he was sitting in his house, office, whatever, in Princeton, and just sitting there, you know, looking out the window and not physically doing anything. And, you know, knowing that, oh, we know he's Einstein, you know, so, and say, like, God, he's really lazy. He wears the same fucking suit every day, and he just sits there doing nothing. You know, that is, I'm going to go back to you, Christian person. I feel like you're a lady. If you're still here, fuck yeah, good job. That's what I try to help people to do, is like, hold on a minute, like, why do you think that? Like, why is this person not a quote Christian? And then, you know, kind of unpacking all of that.